you. Well, we're almost done. We've had a wonderful day of content and interesting discussions. The one takeaway I'm going to take with me from this day is the word phygital. It's not going to be in my dictionary, which has come up. But I'm going to hand over to Jacques Elvinger, partner at Elvinger Haas Possum, who has been diligently taking notes all day, and he has some great insights to share with you at the end of the Cross-Border Distribution Conference. So Jacques, go on.
It was a long day. Thank you for still being with us. I promise I'll try to keep it for 5 minutes, just to make a summary of what I think was the most important takeaway, or at least what I understood. Because with some panels on digitalization, I have to say, it's not always very easy to follow. But from the keynote speech, I noted that the two main messages from Nancy Sage were 7 years left to reduce CO2 emissions by 50%. And the second one was, there is no planet B. In the geopolitical discussion regarding the Ukraine war, President Juncker said, I don't understand what happened with Putin. And I will skip the views which Mr. Juncker expressed about the financial industry. President Rompuy expressed that the move of the relationship between the EU and Russia from strategic partner to enemies. So he said the relationship between EU and Russia moved from a strategic partnership to enemies, and it will take a long time to change this. On a positive note, both agreed that this crisis has resulted in the European Union being more united than ever before. In the SFDR panel, Vincent Ingham from EFAMA said that despite the late availability of the detailed regulation, the industry has the potential to implement SFDR in good faith. There are still significant concerns regarding the detailed understanding of some regulations. On that, Evert van Walsum from EFAMA sort of expressed that the concerns of the industry are well understood, and the intention is for ESMA and the ESAs to publish Q&As to assist the industry, another range of Q&As. All panelists agreed that in any case, receiving the appropriate data over time is a key issue, especially outside of the European Union. In the post-Brexit panel, the discussion first focused on delegation. It was expressed that the concerns and risks, especially at the European authorities level, arising from delegation that have been raised, can be mitigated by appropriate measures, but the discussion is complicated by political considerations. Any new requirements on supervision of delegates will unavoidably require additional measures to be resources to be put in place by market participants. On the relationship between the EU and the UK, all panelists agreed that it is essential and beneficial to all that cooperation between the EU and the UK are continued and continue to be efficient. On the background of the Russian crisis, the regulatory panel focused on liquidity management tools, noting that the possibility for side pocketing was important in the current exceptional circumstances, but also stating that going forward and more generally, it would be beneficial to have more detailed regulations on liquidity management tools in the Level 1 regulations. On the panel on decentralized finance, DeFi, it's the first time I heard that acronym. That's the one where I had more difficulties to follow, I have to confess. Valerie from the SEC expressed that DeFi is in an early stage, that there is quite some way to go before it can become mainstream. Other panelists thought that it is quite advanced, certainly beyond experimental, not yet mainstream, but certainly there to stay. On the panel on value of diversity, the key words were different cultures, different perspectives, culture to help each other, mutual respect and kindness, safety in sharing stories and lived experiences, and finally, do something rather than only speak about it. On the positives of the pandemic, it was explained that the digital transformation has started before the pandemic. I think we were well aware of that. Pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation, and those who were not part of it had to quickly jump on the train. And be it large players or small players, only those who participate in this acceleration will survive. It was also discussed that collecting data is relevant, but especially relevant which data, and also relevant how it is used. Keeping things human, relationship management remains important alongside automatization, and this was well summarized, I found, in the words high tech, high touch. The last panel, Rise on Alternatives, is still very fresh to you, so I can be very short. Alternatives need to be part of a diversified investment portfolio. On the regulatory front, things are somewhat moving to facilitate investment by retail investors in alternatives. LTIFs were mentioned and also were mentioned on other panels, but there is a need for more streamlining for distribution. So I hope that you will find that an accurate summary. Maybe I've not caught everything, but I think it was really very interesting discussion. And so thank you again for being with us today. And if COVID remains under control over the fall and the winter period, and if you wish, we may well meet again here next year for another round of discussion on topics which are of interest to our industry. Thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely perfect. On behalf of FT Lab, I want to thank our sponsors, Deloitte Luxembourg and Elvinger Haas, for a fantastic event, and all of the speakers who took the time to share their expertise and knowledge.